Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Usually Fixing and Tinkering on the Ford Focus Mark 1 side of things. Now recently I've had a lot of messages, emails, YouTube comments relating to boot leaks. What do you mean? It's in the middle of June. Yes, I know. We've been having a lot of rain for June, haven't we? And it's not stopping, is it? It's been horrific, hasn't it? Even the show season. Well, I've been to a few shows already, but it doesn't feel as if it's ever really got started. Shows been cancelled, water bogging everything down. It's horrible. And the worst problem for a lot of Mark 1 owners with their Mark 1s out in the open, like 99% of them, apart from examples like this and other examples that can be stored in a garage, which is a luxury these days, you will have boot leaks. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue, isn't it, with Mark 1s, and boot leaks can cause horrific frustration. The answer to the question that someone posed to me ages ago is, was I able to cure my own boot leaks with this car? The answer is no, but I was able to restrict it probably 90% of what it was, and I'm going to show you some of the damage that it has caused that unfortunately will take a little bit of correcting, but nothing irreparable. So I'm going to bring you into what areas do Mark 1s leak from, and there is some surprising areas that I would like to show people on camera. Now, I've done a video on this already before, but I wanted to reiterate it with a few bits of new information in there, updated, etc. So let's get stuck in. If I can actually find my keys, that would be kind of handy. Still works. Just pick this up. Unfortunately, my tailgate does smack against the door, so yes, we don't want to damage anything. There we go. Right, let's bring you in. Now, a little disclaimer here before I start. This only refers to the hatchback models. Very rarely have I heard of issues with the saloons and estates. This is a hatchback issue, and it is a massive design flaw on what is their most popular body style, and it was the body style that Ford kind of promoted. Every other body style was kind of adhering to other markets. The saloon was more popular in America and parts of Europe, and the estate was not really popular in America but popular in Europe. So they're trying to counteract all markets, but the hatch is what we know the Mark 1 prematurely to be as, particularly in Europe. And this is the model that causes the most problems with boot leaks. Now, a little disclaimer here. I've got round the issue by stuffing it in a garage and having a no wet driving policy, which has limited me with a lot of driving on this car in the last year because the weather's been horrifically bad. It's been really bad. So sadly, I've had to keep it away a little bit more than what I'd have wanted. But I can show you guys exactly where the boot leaks come from. The main sign is, if you're viewing a Mark 1 or you've got some suspicion, you will have windows that are steaming up. Now, that's two things. That could be a boot leak, and it could be your passenger footwell getting leaky because the scuttle seal has failed and water is coming in through the pollen filter onto your floor. If it's already on your floor, it would have done a little bit of damage. The pollen filter's scrap, obviously, and the fan motor may be resuscitated, but you'd be lucky. It depends how long it's been going on for. So there's two reasons why windows would get steamed up, but usually you'd see them steamed towards the back of the car with a boot leak, obviously. So excessive condensation when it's cold, or even on mild temperatures, I've known Mark 1s to condensate. It's that bad. But anyway, underneath the carpet, I'm just going to remove this. I just want to show you a couple of things. Oh, just chuck that there. I did give that a clean. Unfortunately, they don't really come up that well. They get dusty really easily. But as you can see in here, dust everywhere. This is exactly what you want to see. I have painted this black, by the way, if you're thinking that, yeah, this wasn't factory. I painted this black years ago after I did a lot of tidying up work. I'm just going to take the spare wheel out. Your spare wheel, by the way, and it should say very clearly a temporary wheel, Pirelli. This is the original tyre, and I tell you what, that is blimmin' hard, that rubber. That is really hard, but I refurbed this because it was looking a little bit rusty. Can you guess why? Yes, a rusty spare wheel is also a sign of things not being quite as dry as they should be. And obviously we're going to have the spare jack in the place down here. As we can see, it's very clean down there. A little bit of surface rust creeping in around the bungs. There's 2 bungs here, right, with like it is a rubber sort of seal around there, but it goes really, really hard. And I'm just going to point this out. Don't try and take these out because sometimes they're so stuck in. I wouldn't want to mess with these. Personally, if you want to get water out and you don't want it being in there, drill some holes. But as is the way with a lot of things I'm going to promote, prevention is better than cure, okay? And the reason that for this video is to restrict as much water as possible getting into there. If water's getting into there, it's collecting badly on the sides, which is what it will do. And it will just end up going down these little channels, particularly this one here and this one. It will just go straight into that area, okay? And it will make a right mess. Some of you actually may also see that I've got, well, this is, I believe, yeah, it's a new old stock jack because my other one, guess what happened to that? Oh yeah, that had gone really badly rusty as well, and I couldn't be bothered at the time to spray it up and everything and refurb it, so I bought a new old stock one. I'm not joking, with this yellow clip and the tow hook that everybody seems to be missing. You should have a tow hook with that yellow bracket attached to the jack, and you should have a wheel brace as well on this side. This is exactly how it should really sit, with obviously this screw being right the way through, and obviously this goes through here into the base of the car, okay? So your wheel goes through there, okay? Now, boot leaks. Okay, so this is the main area that I'm going to show you now. So boot leaks usually start from the top, so we're going to look at this now. Now, the main area that I came to ages ago, and I could see it coming through. Can you see my headlining? Yeah, this is the damage that damp has caused to the back end of my headlining. If it gets worse, I'll just take the headlining all the way out and I'll do the whole thing. And I don't mind doing it because I don't like these headlinings. I think this headlining is really cheap from the factory. I cleaned it up years ago because I noticed when it was getting rainy, there was damp in this corner. I wondered, hey, why is there so much damp in both corners, just here where my hand is? And that was the first sign. I've got leaks going on here. Where's it coming from? Well, obviously, if this is getting wet, it can't be any... This is what I really find funny, actually, on the forums. It all, even on Facebook sometimes, and I say no names mentioned, but when people come forward with boot leaks and they've got some damp in the car, okay, so there's some damp around here, and the headlining started to go a bit crispy and a bit funny because of water, and then it kind of unclamps itself a little bit, the foam gives away. The answer to that is not because, oh, your headlights are leaking or your vents are leaking. Hold on, guys, just think about this for a second. The guy's got wet headlining. This is a fault that has been reported before. Why would it be coming from there and there? Think about it. Water doesn't move upwards, it goes in the way of gravity, it goes down, not up. What a stupid answer that is. And you got to be careful here. If it's coming from here, naturally it's coming from above, and there's a few different spots that were causing this, okay? This grommet, for a start, you're going to have to take this headlining down, by the way. There's 2 fir tree clips just here. Okay, take them down. You're going to have to carefully bring these C-pillars back. Okay, so you have to take this rubber grommet out the way and bring it back a little bit. You're going to have to pop it off. You may break some of the clips. I've got a feeling I broke 1 or 2 in here. There's 3 of them. And they are so brittle, you will break one. I've broken so many. It's always impossible to not break clips on the C, B and A pillars on a Focus. It just is. And then you can drop the headlining just a little bit to see what's going on around here. And there's a few areas. This grommet, just make sure it's flush with this seam. If it isn't, it just means that it's popped out of its little casing at the bottom. So just pop it back in and it should be nicely sealed in. That's the first way water was getting into mine, okay? Second one, the latch bolts, okay? Now over time, the opening and closing of the boot will make these nuts go loose, okay? So what you need to do is tighten them up. It's only one bolt on the other side. Just tighten that bolt, because water will just literally go between the latch and the bodywork. See that, where my finger is? It will just go between these two, okay? Because the two are not as tight as they should be. That bolt isn't tightening it up. The boot's never going to fall off, but these were really loose. Can you see how much thread is not rusty? That's potentially how much mine went up years ago. I think this one's a bit, no, that's not a good indicator, but it was loose. I had to turn it, I think, 2 full times on each side until that nut had gone stiff. Stop right there, don't overdo it, okay? And then we've got this seam here. Can you see that I've put RTV over this? Now, I know that on a black car, I can get away with this and it doesn't look stupid when I open the boot. To be fair, I think people are going to notice this. I'm actually quite... Hear that? Oh, that's crunchy. I am annoyed about that. I have clamped it before and I did have to cut some excess material. The truth is, I'm going to let that get worse before sorting out. I've got lots of paintwork jobs to sort out, bumpers, etc. But I will sort that out. But I'm going to let it get a bit worse and then I'll change it, because it's not looking ridiculously bad apart from this bit. That looks awful. In fact, no. But that's the damage, the consequence of this. This is very minor. I'd prefer a damaged headlining to rust, put it that way, and it can cause problems. On this side here, you've just got this seam that goes from the gutter, goes all the way down here, around this bung, and down here, okay? Put a smear, just one thick smear on your finger, take the gloves off, have your bare finger, get your hands dirty, just smear it, one line, done. Because water, I could see water, when I took the headlining down, I could see water getting through that seam. And it was just dripping all the way down here and going all the way down here. And then it was ending up down here. Yes. Now this is the area it will congregate in. So we've got this bot section here, okay? Water frequently on my car ends up in that section. So it's going, you've got to trace it, it's going all the way down here. And I'm thinking, it's got to be that. This is leaking, that was leaking, that was leaking, that seam was also leaking. My headlining's gone. But also water wasn't just damaging the corners of the headlining a bit up here, it was going all the way down and then ending up gathering in this position down here and then going overflowing, going down here into there. And yet most people will say, oh, what about your vents down through there? Now I know the vents are through here, okay? The vents just sit around here where my hand is, and you will get a little bit of water. The vents do leak, so it's worth getting the bumper off, putting some RTV around them and putting them back on. You can buy brand new ones, I'd recommend doing that. So sometimes the flaps come off, and yeah, you can't really reuse them effectively without... Yes, they're meant to be breathers to let the car breathe, especially at the back end. And also, this is something that people don't realise. Now, people joke about Fords and panel gaps, but there are stories of on a cold morning where someone has got in the car and then got back out the car and shut one of the doors, and the back windows actually cracked. It's smashed. It's literally caved in. Why? Because of the pressure. When you shut that door, you're creating a pressure. Have you ever shut a driver's door and heard the boot make a noise? That's the air pressure that you're whooping in, because the door seals on these are actually pretty good and the air is tight. So those breathers are not necessarily there to get rid of moisture, but they do help. It's to prevent the window from actually caving in under pressure, because that is the weakest point. The windscreen's stronger. The back window is weaker than the windscreen. Remember that, guys. That's why you've got breathers on your car. So make sure that they do have some flaps and there's some breathing and filtering of water that gets sloshed by this wheel. And believe you me, even if you've got arch liners, you will be getting water through into that area. So that's the other area, okay? So we're talking about all the areas above. Also, the seals behind these lights. Yes, there is a seal, and it's easily changed out round the back. Now, if I can just point you in. Yeah, that seal. There's a couple of seals. You've got that one up there and that one there. Okay, make sure this one is particularly tight, this thumb screw, okay? Just make sure that's tight, because water can get in through there. But actually, a lot of people say that water leaks through that area, and for more reasons than not, none of my leaks came from that. And it's the main one. There's two areas that people would generically, who don't really know that much about Mark 1s, will say causes boot leaks. Vents, backlights. Well, yeah, but there's so many other areas. I even haven't covered half of them in this video. We've done up here, but it's also this, okay? This screw fitter, I'm just, sorry, lighting is poor today. Okay, now behind that, there is a little seal, okay, rubber seal. That can leak water as well. It's well worth changing that fixing. It just basically screws in, just get a pry bar and pull the fixing up, okay? Take the torch screw out, take the light out and pry that fixing up and get another one. They can be sought after. Or you can pry it up, put some RTV in behind it and then squish it back down. Again, that's another way of doing it. Well, also, and I've forgotten this, you see these rubber bungs here where my finger is? Water was getting in through there on mine. How many different areas was my car leaking? And you know what? I reckon a lot of Mark 1s are leaking from these areas. Now, these rubber bungs were for something to do with additional factory extras that most of them weren't fitted with. Take the rubber bung out, stick RTV on the backside, stick it in, okay? You will not have any leaks from that. So, we've done all that, we've done that, we've looked at that. Okay, so are we done? Yeah, well, there's another area here that I'd probably like you to go over, and there's a seam behind the backlight just here where my hand is, just a seam just there, okay? Sort that out. Put a bit of RTV over it. I've only smeared a tiny bit on mine, but that's really it. Now, in terms of leaks coming from the boot vents, there should be some water in this little compartment down here. Now, I can't really show it because we've got this wiring foam here, which I was missing. I managed to get some thanks to my friend Dave. But if you can just see in there, oh, there we go. Now that gap, now that panel shouldn't be that wide because I had to cut some of my metalwork away to see what the problem was, because I had a serious issue with this years ago. But I put new vents in, RTV around the vents, no problems. Now what you might find is that reduces pretty much, just put this carpet back in, that reduces 90% of your leaks and water getting in. Most of it will be from all the areas that I've just described. So it will be a good day's job, and I recommend that every Mark 1 owner, after watching this video, spends and dedicates half a day to sorting this out. Some of these jobs will not take long at all, okay? Hopefully your headlining won't be damaged to that point. You can drill a hole in the boot, just in case water ever gets in, but if water floods down here and ends up in your footwell, that's a sign that you've got too many leaks going on and you need to reduce it. I do not expect a boot of a Mark 1 to be dry. This isn't. Well, it is now, and it's dusty. I've never seen it so dusty in all my life. I mean, look at this. That is thick with dust on this side. Now, I will say one thing. My boot has always leaked in a few different areas up here, but it's never leaked down this box section in this corner. It's never leaked in this side. It's always leaked in this side. I had to redo some of the seam sealer as well in here. So I always used to keep, what I used to do for a short time is actually stick a rag in there and then literally soak it out after some rainwater and stick it back in. I was using a rag to prevent it building up in that little box section and then ending up underneath my spare wheel, because I don't want to have to keep taking the spare wheel out every single time it rains. It was getting that to that point. So breathers, the vents can cause a bit of an issue, but they're not the main issue, really, honestly. There are also a couple of areas behind the boot. Now, you're going to have to take the boot off, but there's a couple of seams behind here, go over with RTV. There's a seam here. There's a couple of seams down here, go over with RTV, because they can penetrate, believe it or not, onto the other side here. There was a leak coming from, I'll just put that there, sorry, it's where my finger is, just not in the box section, by the side of it. I'm thinking, where's that coming from? And it's got to be a seam down here. And I did stop it. So there's a seam just behind here. So that's a back bumper off job. So again, you could probably factor in taking the bumper off to sort those seams out and change the vents as well. So that's mostly that out of the way. But there is one other area that I have discovered on a Mark 1 pretty much in the last few years, because I've heard of this happen just a couple of times now, and I think it's going to be a bit more common. And that is the back windows leaking. So this can apply to, so I've got my torch here. It's a sunny day, but it's really dark in this garage. 3 doors or 5 doors particularly. The back windows, these are bonded windows, obviously, okay? There's glue behind here. The same sort of adhesive bonding you'll get on windscreens, same for the back window, okay? And this adhesive bonding, 100%, is actually broken. So for me, there's something going on around here, because there is water marks running down the inside of this skin panel into that little box section here where the vent is. That little box section that I just pointed out, there was a little run mark, like a rusty water mark, and the only place that came from would have been here. Now, this plastic panel doesn't usually cause a problem. It can't leak from here because there's nowhere water getting in, but it can leak from here. So there's something going on with the bonding. The bonding isn't brilliant. That was during a torrential rainstorm, by the way, and torrential water. Not on that side, nothing on that side. That side was bone dry into even the vent, even that little box section for the vent area. Nothing. It's always been this side of the car. But on other cars, it's always different. But check this area. And the only way of doing that is flashing your light straight into that box section and looking up, or sticking a camera down. Okay, you know those little microscopic cameras that you can operate on your phone via an app? And you can see for any rusty watermarks, especially when raining. To be honest with you, you're going to look like a fool to most people, but in the world of Mark 1s, it is a very sensible idea. When it rains, you need to have stripped a lot of the back end of this car, strip the B pillars off, strip the carpets out, have it absolutely bare at the back, like a boy racer or similar. Get in the car when it starts raining, put the radio on, put your head torch on, and keep looking for where that water is coming from. And you'll find so many areas, trust me. That's the best way of doing this if you want to find out what's happening around here. I've told you all the areas to look for now, so you know what you're looking at. So hopefully this video is going to help several owners sort this problem out once and for all. It's frustrating, but if you want to own a Mark 1 long term, it's got to be done. It's as simple as. You have got to restrict the amount of water coming in. And that's where I end this very sunny episode. I'm being completely blinded here. But I'm hoping that's going to help several owners with the problem. And it puts to bed, oh, well, where's it coming from? I get asked this question a lot. So hopefully I've answered this question without having to email several different people, which is the reason for this video, really. Because I'm being asked the same question that many people have asked before. And the video is there. Well, now I've produced a new video, probably a better one. So there you go, and I hope it does help. Anyway, you take care, guys. Enjoy the sunny weather, and pray it keeps on going, because we're going to need it. I hope to get this out and my other cars out for shows and just enjoy some dry weather. Take care. It always picks up bits, this does. I don't like these boot carpets. Make sure you got your keys always before shutting this. Adjustments need to be made. Ish.